Hey, welcome everybody to another edition of the Wizards Outlook. As always, joined by Raymond Lyons, Cardell Dudley Jr. I'm Wilson Tarpe Jr. Just a reminder before we get into tonight's, breakdown of what happened, what went wrong for the Wizards tonight against the Sacramento Kings. It's pretty much bracket time. If y'all didn't, y'all got till tomorrow till noon for a lot of these bracket challenges. So just a nice reminder. Within the madness, we're going to be doing this for both the men's and the women's side. And this is literally just like Wizards Outlook. At the end of every night, the NCAA tournament is being played. We'll be on here talking about the men's and the women's sides of the tournament. The men's kicks off tomorrow. The women's, I believe, starts on Sunday. So we're gonna be looking forward to that. Follow us on social. So the same way that you're tuned into this, check in for that as well. With that said, the Washington Wizards tonight, folks, they lost to the Sacramento Kings, 121-119. We told you guys pre-All-Star break how tough the schedule was going to be. And this was the game where we were like, this is the game this is the one you shouldn't drop. This would be the one. And here we are, again, 121-119, Sacramento. Sacramento also did not hit a field goal for pretty much the last 8 minutes of the game. Outside of De'Aaron Fox hitting the game winner. They went a long time with not a field goal, just a few free throws. And somehow, some way, Washington found a way to fall to the Sacramento Kings, who had literally the night, like a couple nights prior, blew a 17-point lead. Like what the Kings did tonight, the only thing that changed was that they won. They've been tricking off leads. What the Kings been doing. They tried to give the game to Washington a couple times. Apparently, Washington felt like they're in a good place and they don't need the free game. I don't know what to tell you, if you're a Wizards fan. That last play was oh so interesting. Cardell, I know you popped in on the presser, so the floor is yours, man.
As far as the last play, Scott Brooks just said, the Kings set up in the zone and they put Whiteside in the middle. They were looking for Bill to flare up, which he did. Obviously, had Whiteside to protect the basket and make sure nobody got anything easy. So Raul Neto, he didn't realize it. He was wide open if he just popped out to the elbow on the 3-point line, the opposite end of the court. That's what Russ saw. Scott Brooks said he hadn't really talked to Russ, but looking at the replay, he could tell that's what Russ was doing. That's why Russ threw it to kind of lead him, but Neto wasn't really looking for the shot. And that's why I went over his head out of bounds. And you kind of saw Russ just staring at him like, dog, you got to play basketball. You got to be aware. Like, everybody's an option right now. Get the ball. We got 0.7 seconds. Everybody should be alert to get the ball and just shoot that jump to his rim. We live with it. So, Scott Brooks said looking at the replay, Neto would have probably had a good, decent look at, a three. If he'd have been more aware. So that's pretty much what happened. They was on Bill, kind of what we've been talking about. They on Bill, and they're daring somebody else to beat them. They're not gonna let Bill win. Obviously, Russ is taking the ball out because I don't think Brooks really trusts anybody else's decision making that he has stated earlier in the season. So, it just is what it is, man. At this point, that's just it's a pretty good example of what has happened for the Wizards, not just throughout this game, but since the second half that started.
Right.
Yeah, they had their opportunities and they just didn't take advantage. We talk a lot on here about this epidemic of 30-point quarters. Quarters 1 through 3. Sacramento had 34, 32, and 36 points. They did their job and held them 19 in the fourth, but their decision making down the stretch, they weren't able to capitalize. And with the Wizards, they started out the game, they were scoring well as usual, but I mean, if you're not gonna play defense, none of that matters. Like they don't do to other teams what teams do to them. Like if you're in a game when you're scoring that well and you just get a few stops, then a 4-point lead becomes maybe a 13-point lead, and you got a little breathing room, and the team's just not on your neck the whole time. So Sacramento was hanging around, and then they were able to get a few stops and they stretched out the lead, and then the Wizards had to fight back. So I mean, it's just they they just don't capitalize on opportunities. Yeah, down the stretch, some funky stuff happened. Westbrook misses a dunk. Then of course the last play, which Neto, like Cardell said, he just wasn't in tune with what was going on in the game. Like you said, at 0.7 seconds, you got to realize, everybody is in play. Typically, of course, they want to get the ball to Bill, but it's not enough time for him to run around and get open and then have a couple seconds to create something. 0.7 is enough to catch and shoot, and that's it. So yeah, man, just another squandered opportunity. They still married to the 3-point shooting, but it's an abusive relationship. They were 4 for 25 tonight, 16%. I mean, go to something else. It's obviously not working. Yeah, man, Bertans. The nights like this when he gives you absolutely nothing, then it makes that contract look that much worse. He was being singled out on defense, and then he's 2 for 9 from 3. Like, I mean, you have one job. Do at least do that job. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't not do your job and then be a gaping hole on the other end. That's just unacceptable. So I don't know what needs to happen with that, but something's got to give, man. But yeah, what's frustrating about the Wizards is their potential is so much greater than what they've accomplished so far. Like if they had been trying as hard as they can and the talent just wasn't there, that'd be one thing. But they've shown that they can play good basketball, for long stretches. That especially that one stretch they had in them 10 games where they were like 7-3 or 8-2 or what have you. Like that's sustainable. It's not like they just had a string of games where they were lights out from the field every time, and they played bad teams or something like that. They had some good teams in there. They had some quality wins, and they were playing basketball. They were defending. They won games in a multitude of ways. So it just, at this point, every player just got to look themselves in the mirror, because it's not like they're not capable, because they've proven they're capable on numerous times. So yeah, I don't know what Brooks is going to do. I don't know if there's a solution to this, but yeah, man, they got to be more consistent. They're professionals, and honestly, like a loss like this is inexcusable.
Yeah, for me is Cardell's mentioned several times this season, like the double agent games, turnovers in this one. Like you we watched the games, and then even looking at the box score after watching the game, just confirm some of what you saw. But you hold a team without field goals for 6 or 7 minutes. Free throws are the only thing going right. You pretty much play lights out defense in the fourth. Can't speak for the rest of the game, but in the fourth, really good defense. And you had nothing to show because you couldn't convert on the other end. And then the other team's not doing anything. So they get a couple trips to the free throw line here and there, but the only times I got to the line really was off your turnovers and them getting out in transition. Then we already, Cardell already talked about the last play. It's it's just because, like, I get turning the ball over. You're not gonna play a turnover-free game. But look at Sacramento. As bad as Sacramento, all the crazy stuff that went wrong with their offense, it was broken essentially. They didn't give Washington free points in transition. They had 8 turnovers tonight, just 8. And Washington, for whatever is going on this season, when they turn the ball over, it's always the worst possible time ever. And it always catches up to them. Like tonight, we've talked about, like literally the other night, so about the rebounding battle. They won that tonight. They outscored Sacramento's bench points in the paint to 74-42. And then what did you do tonight? What you couldn't do was give them that many free points in transition, and it cost you. And Ray, you mentioned that stretch of good basketball that they played. It's just ironic during that stretch they shot horribly from 3 and did all the other stuff. Like you literally got an example to see what the recipe is for this iteration, like for this group. Replicate it. Hey, they got Utah coming in tomorrow. I think Mike Conley is. I don't think Mike Conley will be playing, which doesn't just because he's not playing doesn't mean that Utah's still not formidable. There's going to be Gobert down there tomorrow night, so that'll be interesting too. But what I know you can't do is just give up going down there and settle for threes the whole night against Utah. There's one of the reasons Utah's a really good team this year. It could be over quick if they don't take care of business. You cannot give the ball up this much tomorrow night against Utah. And, Cardell, you mentioned what Brooks said. We've seen this time and time again. The fact that there's a couple folks that you can routinely attack, every team can attack when necessary. It's tough.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It goes back to pride. I've been saying it the last few games. Like, the one thing about the Kings is we all know the Wizards preach pace. They number one in the league in pace. And for those that don't know what pace is, it's the number of possessions in 48 minutes. So they rank number one, but the Kings are 10. The Wizards are number one on 4.3 possessions, and the Kings are at 100.2. So they're not phased by your pace. They play that way. So you don't even have that advantage where you're wearing down other teams like when they won. So it came down the stretch who kind of executed better. But the reason why the Wizards couldn't pull this out because they were executing down the stretch better, but they were coming from behind. And they had to work hard on defense to try to come behind to keep the Kings occupied so they can, close that gap because they didn't play any defense the first three quarters. This is why defense is the most important aspect of the game. I know people are like, you got to put the ball in the hole. I get it, but if I can hold you down, I'm going to eventually figure out a way. I don't even have to have no skill. I mean, we've seen all types of people just throw a ball up and go in. You know what I'm saying? Like that, I'm going to get a shot eventually to go in. But if you can't score, then what does that mean? And you have the skill, but I'm still strapping. What does that mean? You got to take care of that end, man. And it comes down to pride. De'Aaron Fox, it was a big shot at the end over Bill. I've been telling people he's grown up. He's a complete guard. He's more savvy. Efficient. Same way John Wall came in when he first came in, 100 miles an hour every play. Back just fast for no damn reason, just fast. He slowed down. He's picking his spots. He's more cerebral. He's more of a cerebral player. So you don't have that advantage. You can't rush him into mistakes anymore. And that's why he was calm, hitting that jump over Bill. Bill played great defense. He was right there, contesting everything. He just hit a tough shot. You see what I'm saying? That's why if you defended the last three quarters, that shot means nothing. That's the whole point. You know what I'm saying? I was how we talked about Rashawn Holmes in the last game. He made an impact despite being in foul trouble. 18, 7, and 2 in 27 minutes. The rookie Halliburton, who's special, and I feel like a candidate for rookie of the year quietly. He had a good night with 17, 4, and 2. You talked about the turnovers, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the Wizards had 15, but 10 were from Russ and Bill. You're starting backcourt. and the Kings scored 26 points off of that. I mean, take care of the ball, you win the game. Team defense, we just got to call it what it is. They're not good as a defense team. The reason why they won those 10 games in February, they were strapping. Remember, they would have like one, max 2 quarters where the teams would score 30 plus points. It was rare. They was keeping them in the 20s. Now it's just free for all. In their last 5 games that they've lost, teams have scored over 30 plus points 16 of the 20 quarters, dog. Like, what do you want to do? All 5 Kings starters scored in double figures. No one could keep Fox in front of them. You know what I'm saying? And when Bill did, he hit a tough shot. The 3-point shooting. Wizards 4 for 25, man. Kings 10 for 33, 0 for 5 from Bill, 2 for 8 from Bertans. I mean, like Brooks said, we got to hit threes. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why, and to piggyback what you were saying, Raymond, I know you would like to adjust, but where he going to adjust to? We can't throw it on the block. I mean, unless they're going to look for Rui more. But that comes back to Rui, like, demanding, like, I'm down here, get me on the block. They can't get easy points, and that's the other thing. So they got to hit threes, it's harder. You know what I mean? Somebody kind of, establish that, man. Is Rui ready for that role? I believe he has the ability to do, but is he quite ready right now? I don't know. Russ down there, I don't know, because of his style, he loves going in the lane anyway. He gets beat up. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the game, he's not as fresh. So I don't even know if they like him down there. Maybe Bill will go down there sometimes, but I'm with you, Raymond, but I just don't see the other option right now because they can't get easy points on the block or mid range and stuff like that. I believe Alex Len had a great game. 13 points, 12 rebounds. I know he got in a little foul trouble, but he answered the challenge with Rashawn Holmes because Rashawn Holmes was coming up a 16-15 game last game.
Mm-hmm.
So he was well on his way tonight to having a monster double-double if he wasn't in foul trouble. So that's good. Even offensively, Neto, Lopez, Rui, Russ and Denny, of course, Bill, they were all solid or outstanding offensively. It came back to the defensive end, man. And like Scott Brooks said, man, they're literally picking on guys. They're in the scout report. Go at Bertans. It's a bucket. Even Rui on occasion. Rui can play defense, but I think he just loses awareness sometimes. He's not always locked in. Dudes go backdoor for lobs and stuff like that. Shoulder slump. Raul Neto, he's just small, but he's strapped, but he's just small. So they take advantage of his size. It's always something that other teams can try to pick on to attack. And we ain't gonna exclude Bill, and Russ from sometimes their awareness too. They're non-disciplined defense sometimes, man. Like they fall asleep too. Get beat backdoor, get beat off the dribble, get beat in transition. They gotta get back to that 10-game win streak where they was on a string. I mean, we saw dudes closing out hard, smoothing their feet, pressing turnovers, all that stuff like that, man. We gotta get back to that, or they have to get back to that. Otherwise, it ain't much they can do, man. Because they rocking with all they have. Like, look, everybody played. It's just he's punching all. He's using all types of lineups, and he hasn't found a consistent one since the break. And until these guys take it personal, that's what it is. And it don't get no easy. Like what Wilson said, the Jazz come in tomorrow. So, and look, if they can't score inside on the Kings, they damn sure ain't scoring on inside tomorrow. They better hit some threes. We're going to call it like it is. We keep it real on the show. They better hit some threes. It's going to be over by half.
That's a little bit different than having Rashawn Holmes at the paint waiting for you. That's Gobert down there.
Yeah, he got 9 figures.
And to me, I guess my last little 2 cents on tonight's game, what kind of was irritating to me is, like you said, of course Sacramento's not going to be bothered by the pace. Sacramento treats made baskets like it's transition. Like you score and they're like, time to run. They don't care. How many times do we see this game? You score, Washington's kind of relaxed. Zoom, Fox layup.
That's the defense. That's the lazy ass, lackadaisical, non-disciplined defense. And that's on the guards. You supposed to be back, brother. You supposed to get back. Why is De'Aaron Fox beating everybody down? I know he fast, but that's where you at. Neto, Bill, somebody.
And that's the thing, like you said, the overall team defense as a group. Like we saw after that 10 games where it was locked in, like you said, people were together, it was communication, folks understood what was happening. It's been anything but that. And all right, you got Donovan Mitchell and company tomorrow night. De'Aaron Fox kind of got off a little bit tonight. You got like I said, you got Donovan tomorrow. You got that bad man with the beard come Sunday. He went off tonight at 40-point triple-double against the Pacers tonight. And that was without KD, who's been out. Blake still hasn't played, and Flat Earth was out tonight too. That was just the beard and the rest of them boogieing. Got the Pacers out the way. I know they didn't have Miles Turner, but that's a bonus. Still, it's still a good team. Karras is back. The Pacers aren't a slouch. You got Utah tomorrow. A couple days to think about it. You got the Nets, and this is what Cardell was talking about, the team defense thing. It's gonna if you don't play defense, you're toast because you don't hit threes like that either.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't even get away with being a defensive team because you score, but not like that. Because these stretches where, again, you paying however much money you paying for a shooter, this ain't it. You're paying that money so these nights don't happen. So at least there's one guy where I got at least 5 threes, right? At least 3 threes, something consistent. That's what you're paying for. And you're not getting that. There's no return on that investment right now. And every time he's on the court, and again, the whole team's bad defensively, but again, you make the type of money that the other two make. You around in that neighborhood, gonna keep bringing you up. You have to be on the court for you to hit threes, right? That means on the other end, the fact that you're a liability, it's not evening it out. You getting picked on and not hitting shots negates you being there.
Bro.
It's not evening out.
Remember how before All-Star break we was like, man, they only 2 games out of the 8th and they right there to play in.
Please, the update.
That has changed drastically since they came back, man. Like they're literally 5 to 6 games out of 8th.
Yeah.
They're third from the last place team in the East. They tied with the Cavs. They're tied with the Cavs, man. That's just, that's why I'm like,
they
will have to win. They have to go on another run like they did in February to get back in that playoff picture. Because while they're losing, other teams are finding ways to at least be 500. You know what I'm saying, to make it tough and then win games and stuff like that. So, right now it's hell, man. They without defense, they're not talented enough to just win. So they have to grind this month out. They got to, and that's what they were doing in February. They labeled the defense. If they don't take a personal shot, leave that, it's nothing they're gonna do. They're just gonna keep losing, especially with these dogs coming in and it's playoff time. They sense it. Like these top teams trying to get you up out of there so they can rest.
Man,
and then get ready
exactly.
That's it. 3 quarters of work and rest. 12 minutes of rest. 3 quarters of work and 12 minutes of rest. All right, so here's before we close. Here's what's next. We told you guys about tomorrow night. You got the Jazz, couple days off. The Nets, a day off. The Knicks, who are annoying as you know what to play. They bother the good teams because how hard and how physical they are. You got the Knicks twice at the Garden, and then the Pistons to close out the month. I'm sorry, Pistons, Pacers, and Hornets to close out the month.
And what makes this stretch bad, bro, it's a lot of home games. That means you're going to be on the road a lot soon. You feel what I'm saying? And also, let me just say this. This is why I understand it's useful in some areas. I'm not trying to hear much about analytics. So I'm looking at the Wizards starting lineup. Okay. Everybody's in the minus. Then I go to the bench. The only 2 players in a plus minus category for the Wizards were Bertans and Neto. How is Bertans?
Well, all right. So, look, I was having this conversation with Sykes the other night, and this is one of those things where, I like that one of those corny cliches, like everything in moderation. Mm-hmm. This is a prime example of what analytics are. They are a great tool. They are just that, a tool. And what's happened is you got a lot of people jumping out here where instead of trying to learn more about the game or whatever, and so you can get a better feel, a better understanding. It's used to enhance your understanding. You're taking forget that. That's too difficult, or I don't want to understand that part of it. So I'm gonna lean all the way in over here because that comes easier to me, and act like I have a larger understanding and turn something that is a tool into some horrible, disgusting, perverted thing because you just don't want to learn. And then we're here, like analytics been around forever. There's nothing like I literally have no issue with them. It's when you take them out of their box and turn them into this. It's literally when people take them to pervert them. I have no issue outside of that. They are a tool. They are a positive tool. Yeah. But like all things, numbers, when it's something like numbers, you can manipulate them to tell whatever you want to tell. And that's the issue. Just like plus minus, it's a good idea in theory, but it is flawed. What you just presented this evening,
because
it is flawed.
Because ain't no way in hell you can tell me this man played good. He played like ass. Like seriously, and this is with all due respect. Look, Allen Iverson has admitted he ain't play no defense. He said that, but he led the league in steals a lot of years. Or he was up there. So technically, if you look at his steal output, you like if you didn't see him play, you like, oh man, he was a great defender. Yes. Like no, he was not.
Yes,
that man, no, he was not, man. You see what I'm saying? We saw the game, but how many people really want to get in the trenches and stuff, or have been in the trenches? Let's say you haven't been. You ain't had the talent to be. Okay, how many of them are willing to go in the gyms now and learn, talk to coaches and learn? Not go in there looking for an angle for a story, but really go in there and learn about the game. learn about the different details, the nuances, the different aspects you can impact the game. You can get better at the game. You can see the game. They're not doing that. So the most they deal with basketball is when these teams play. And that's why, you know, Bill said a few games back, you know, the box score analysts and stuff like that. They look at the stats and they be like, oh man, he balling and stuff. When really, if you look at the game, nah, you know what I'm saying? It's just and we all know this, it ain't no disrespect. Triple doubles were harder to get back in the day. It's more possessions now. It's just like they saying it's a 3-point shooting league. Yeah, the league has changed that to make it that. So of course, if you shoot more threes, it's gonna speed up the game. Meaning more possessions, meaning you're gonna have more 3-point attempts. So if you're gonna have that, you better be able to make them. It's all connected. It's rocket science. But if you don't know the game, you're not gonna understand that. The reason why they play that old slow down grind and all that. You know why? They have more quality big men to go to in the block, get you easy points, get the other team in foul trouble. You see what I'm saying? They were averaging like 30 and 10, 30 to 15 or something. And the teams worked around that. So, and those are higher percentage shots. It makes sense. But you don't see those bigs no more. They forcing the bigs to step out and have to shoot threes and mid-range jumpers and stuff, which takes away your advantage. That's why Philly's so strong. Look at what Embiid doing. Doc said, the hell with all that. Get your butt on the block. I get if you trailing. Look, you know, you can toss a couple up, man. But look, man, go down heat. And that's why, to me, before he got hurt, he was the MVP leading candidate. There's no answer for him. He's dominating. I feel like Giannis, he has to get better a little bit on the post and stuff like that. But he's too. Sometimes I feel like that's what gets him in the playoffs. He's too perimeter oriented. Like he's coming up with the ball. I see you now. I can focus on you. Right. Whereas if somebody else got the ball, you know what I'm saying? He moving around and stuff. I'm looking at Drew Holiday or Dante, but I'm like, yo, where Giannis at? Where Giannis? And now they got the advantage. While I'm turning my head looking for Giannis and stuff, here they come. That makes your team more of a threat. It's not rocket science, man. You see what I'm saying? So that's what it is, man. You know, look, like you said, analytics is a tool, but it shouldn't be the toolbox. And that's the issue I have when people try to use it.
No, for sure. The reason I wanted to share it and get it like that so people understand, like what you just said, the issue is when it's turned into everything and turned into this end-all, be-all. No one has an issue with it in itself because it's useful. It can be useful. And, you know, a lot of people like to take the numbers, or some people that want to put it above everything, be like, well, it's kind of like Moneyball in baseball. So, like, look, as a lifetime Yankee fans, look, Moneyball is cute. It is wonderful. It's won, I don't know, some championships. You know what wins other championships? Limitless bags of money and very talented people. Stop. Again. So, like, just to put that out there, it's a wonderful thing in theory. It is oh so cute and a great story when it works. No. Other people will sell their soul, give you a stacked roster of 9 people that cost whatever because you can afford it, and we will just beat you in the smithereens until we can't pay them anymore. How about that for numbers? Again, it's a good tool, but stop. Like you said, that's why we're seeing Embiid have an MVP caliber year. Also, why do you think we're getting the most out of Simmons? Because it's somebody who understands how to use somebody with that type of size. Yes, there's so many things that can be on the floor, but at the end of the day, what's the big difference between Ben and Rondo? I love Rondo. Rondo ain't 6'10". There's things you can do with Ben that you can't do with Rajon. Rajon 6 foot, Ben 6'10". And
Doc said that. As soon as they like, how you gonna get Ben to improve his shooting? He said, I'm not even worried about that. I'm just gonna move him around. He's gonna be running baseline to baseline, and you have to pay attention because he's 6'10" and athletic. He can dunk that. And he can play make. He can get it. You're going to have to double down there because you got a smaller guy. Here you go, Embiid. Here you go, Tobias. Or here you go, Seth.
Yep.
Here you go. Here you go, Danny Green. Light him up. Now you got the back of ball. Now it's 1-on-1. And he can take you off the dribble and score and stuff. So, look, man, it's not hard. The Wizards just don't have the talent on their roster right now to be this off defensively. And the turnovers and the little things that they just keep giving teams chances to beat them. Like, they should have beat the Kings by like 15, honestly. Yeah. We're going to be real. Even with their bad three-point shooting, they should have beat them by 15. They just took care of the ball, played better defense. All they had to do was play better defense, honestly, for a quarter. You held them to 19. If you hold them to 19 in another quarter, what does that mean? You see what I'm saying? Like, that's 11 points.
Yep. If you came out in the third quarter and played the defense you played in the fourth quarter, the game's over by the fourth.
Yeah, so you went 119, 110
Yep.
just by holding them to another 19.
Right. And like the most frustrating thing is, yeah, they not the most talented roster at all, but pretty much all their deficiencies are things within their control.
Yeah.
That's the most frustrating thing for me. Like, these are things you can literally choose to do every single night. You know, I mean, you're gonna have some off games in regards to offense, and like sometimes teams just gonna play good defense and it's gonna be disjointed or whatever. But your own defense, you can fight, you can hustle, you know, you can box out, you can rebound, you can do all that stuff every single night. There's nothing nobody else can do to stop you from doing that. Offensively, with the turnovers, your decision making, that's within your control, no matter what. So the shooting, that's different. Like, sometimes the ball just not going to go in. But that other stuff, man, you got to make a commitment to do that stuff every single game. And if they did, like we said, that we've been saying it the whole year, like even those close games they were losing in the beginning of the season, you know, if they would just buckle down and have a couple more, you know what I'm saying?
It hurt now.
Yeah. It's like, because now, like, you already got to play catch up, and you're not, and now you steadily dropping games. So that, like, their window was when they were playing well. That was their window right there. But now, you know, after All-Star break, they just digging a deeper hole. So yeah, man, there's something you gotta give.
It was a big month. Right now, I think they're 0 for 5 this month. You got 7 more left. Again, like we told you guys going into All-Star break, we would know for sure by the end of this month about what was happening this season. And they're ahead of schedule in terms of letting us know. They got an opportunity to finish this month strong. That's on them. If not, you know, I hope they paid attention to the G League and enjoy the tournament to see how they can go about, you know, figuring out this roster for next year. But we'll get to that much later.
Or come out to something we cooking up later on and see some prospects. You know, maybe get help the team later on. You know, we'll talk more about that.
Definitely will. Just a reminder, folks, we'll be on again tomorrow night. It's double duty. We got Wizards Outlook, and then we got Within the Madness. Again,
Yes,
Within the Madness throughout the entire NCAA tournament, both the men's and the women's side. So you guys enjoy filling out your brackets, and after you already started missing and getting stuff wrong, come hang with us later that night, and we can all talk about it together. I'll share my bracket if you share yours. Is that fair? We'll just all be sad all
Same time, man. I don't know you.
Same time. Like Rick. Y'all have a good night. We'll catch you guys later.